Welcome back to the TJ and N show. This is Tyler. With me, I have Josh and Nick. Tonight, we're going to be digging into a few topics. We're going to talk about reincarnation, talk a little bit about our favorite cryptids. We might actually get to an Am I the Asshole tonight, and then Josh is running our trivia. So here's Nick to start us off.
Hello. So, reincarnation. It's a special little noun that many of us have heard about in our lives.
Reincarnation's a noun.
It is, in fact, a noun.
That's pretty cool.
Isn't it also a verb? Or would
Um,
that be? I guess reincarnating would be the verb.
yeah.
Yeah, you're right.
Because
It is a noun.
verb, it's what you do.
The action word.
The commercials, obviously.
Digging
all-
in is a verb.
We all learned through the great American advertising system. So it's a pretty simple definition here, folks. Reincarnation is the rebirth of a soul in a new body. So, interestingly enough, we've talked about 9/11 in the past. At least I did when we did a conspiracy episode. And funnily enough, we can kind of draw back to 9/11 with some very interesting reincarnation stories involving a child here in recent history, where he claims that he has had vivid dreams of being a firefighter and being in the World Trade Center and trying to rescue people, and he remembers like very vivid details about it. And I think he even remembers the name of the firefighter that he was. And this is a post 9/11 child, mind you. He was not alive when it happened. So he he's come out, and his parents have come out, and they say, we we don't think he's crazy or anything. They obviously support him and want to, try and, make sure he doesn't sound crazy. But it is crazy, not in like the literal sense, but it is crazy that a child that was born after an event that he wasn't even alive for is having such vivid, almost visions in his dreams about just such specific details about a day that he never even witnessed in his current life. So it begs, us to ask the question.
This is a really common thing. See,
yeah, it's like deja vu.
You see it a lot, like online. Well, with kids specifically, I see a lot of like small anecdotal posts about, man, my kid said this really weird thing, or like kids talking about like how they picked their parents and this and that. The one I have is this kid. You can look it up. There's a People article and a book called The Boy. I think it's called The Boy Who Knew Too Much. Yeah, Boy Who Knew Too Much. It's this kid, and at like 2 years old, before he could read, before he was exposed to any baseball knowledge, the kid could tell you historical baseball facts of things that had happened, and like that was like checkable. And the kid at 2 and 3 years old is playing baseball with 8 and 9-year-olds. Like he's like this baseball prodigy. His parents think that he is the reincarnation of Lou Gehrig, right? Because the kid, they took him to a baseball game and he saw a picture of Babe Ruth, and he was able to talk about a lot of things about the rivalry they had and the falling out that Babe Ruth and Lou Gehrig apparently had. And I just think that's wild that this kid is, can recite all this factual knowledge. But I mean, at the same time, with this one specifically, I wouldn't put it past these parents to just be like teaching the kid the thing. Like, do you remember? I forget when it was, like a long time ago. The parents were like, "Oh, my kid, he's in this weather balloon and he like flew away," and the kid was actually just in the attic the whole time. Yeah, it's like,
I'm
you can't
famous.
trust people, but like, there's so many like examples of this happening. It makes you kind of question it,
Oh yeah, it's there's even like you guys probably have at least heard of tarot cards before, right? Yeah.
Yes, that's like
Yeah,
the
Like fortune telling
reading
cards,
my
essentially.
life type thing.
Yeah, it's more like fortune telling. It kind of falls under fortune telling. It's it's new age and it's very old. I mean, it's old. It's nothing new about it, but it's a lot of other card, metaphysical card based practices have stemmed from tarot over the years in pop culture. I mean, like tarot is kind of like Monopoly now. They make a tarot deck for everything. There's, you know, Demon Tarot and there's Simpsons Tarot and there's, just
Simpsons
all
tarot. I love that.
there's just all these ridiculous tarot decks that basically people are buying them as art pieces because they have pretty interesting drawings in them. But the whole point of tarot is that you know there's many different layouts that you can do for tarot, first of all, but the most common is going to be a 3-card draw. That's a past, present, and future card. So you draw those, and then whoever's your reader for your reading is going to use the symbology and the imagery in the card to basically tell you what you want to hear, or not what you want to hear, but what they see based on what cards were pulled. But from tarot, other things have come along, such as like past life cards, which I actually own a deck of, and I've never used them. We bought them just kind of as a novelty thing, and we were going to fuck around with it at one point in time, and they just kind of ended up on the bookshelf and have sat there for years, and I haven't really looked at them yet. So,
It's
but
like a Ouija board.
so to not quite. That's more like communicating with spirits. This is more like communicating with yourself, but through I guess a card style, reading.
A card medium.
Yes, a card medium. Instead of Pokemans, you're using past life cards. So it's interesting because we do, and outside of 9/11, there's people who have claimed that they were World War II pilots who same scenario, have obviously had vivid visions of them being in the cockpit of an old style airplane, and that they were fighting Japanese forces. It's just weird stuff like that. So
I
it's
wonder if you
yeah,
put
go
one of
ahead.
those people in a cockpit, if they could actually fly one of those planes.
That'd be
Then
pretty
then
interesting.
they have to be true, right?
So some of these other 9/11 kids, because this one particular kid who remembers being a firefighter actually came out and said, to quote him, "I don't just want to be a firefighter. I have always been and already am a firefighter. I used to get up in the morning and go to work in the evenings. I would come home and take off my fire proximity suit." So, that's a young child saying that. That's kind of
I
hard to
wonder.
that's kind of hard to hear. Then you have kids as young as 3 who are claiming to have been victims. And this kid, now, and I'm going to follow up with what I'm about to say with a little tidbit here, but this kid claims that he was an individual that worked on the 110th floor of the building, and was a man that went by the name of Robert Pattinson. Now, with anything, when small children are, especially a 3-year-old claiming that's just crazy. But anything post 9/11 is very accessible on the internet. So
Agree.
is it a kid running away with his imagination because he Googled something one day and was like, "Oh, this would be interesting to pretend I, did this," or it, you know, is is it valid? And
I
it's
mean,
not, it's not for us to say, I guess. It's just one of those things where it's open to your own interpretation.
in a way, reincarnation follows the laws of physics, where like if you believe you're the soul, your soul, and what does it consist of? It's some sort of energy, right? And energy can't be destroyed, only what is it moved or changed. So like in theory, if you had a soul and you just died, the energy is destroyed, but if you reincarnated, the energy just changes forms. So it makes sense.
That's kind of cool.
Heaven doesn't follow the law of physics.
Well, that's
There's
just
no
the, that's
there's no
just the thing.
oxygen.
Reincarnation actually is it's not just like a standalone religion. It's practiced by, well, it's believed and practiced by, several
Right.
existing, such as Buddhism, Hinduism, things like that. Those are very well rooted. Hell, even some branches of Christianity believe in reincarnation. If you can believe that, I mean,
Um, and I want to like just as like an abstract thought about it. I mean, some like there's also like a theory that when you die, you change to a parallel universe where you didn't die. You know what I mean? So is that of the same idea? Is that like like the same thing you guys think is reincarnation?
that's kind of introducing science into a very spiritual situation
Right, right.
because
But I'm like,
that's like quantum physics almost, But
is it?
but that's the beauty of it is you can combine the two. I think science and religion have always held hands. I think it's man-made tyranny and fear and control that keeps science out of religion more often than not. Now, as time has progressed and, we're getting into an age where science is, I'd say pretty well received by most people. You have, excuse me, you have to be a pretty hardcore, like creationist Christian to not believe in any science, like that motherfuck who built the ark down in Kentucky and
Well, I
debated Bill Nye. This motherfucker is saying that like dinosaurs and humans existed at the same time, and he has like kids running with velociraptors inside of this museum. It's fucking bonkers.
I just feel like there are a lot of people right now that don't believe in science, so it's really not far off.
I
Like,
think okay, so here I'm gonna come back at you real quick. I think we are seeing a uptick in people who don't believe in science because they are voicing their opinions at a rate that has never been seen before. They had no reason to ever get on a public platform like TikTok or Facebook or anything else and be so passionate about being anti-science because there was nothing ever really truly going on affecting everyone's day-to-day lives where they felt the need to do that. Nowadays, you have a pandemic, you have COVID, you have a vaccine, and you have a very broad spectrum of people who believe in the science, and you have a very broad spectrum of people who don't. And both sides are making sure that their fucking opinion is being heard right now.
That
So
so do you
pandemic
I
added
think
a
it's
lot of time.
I think it's a perceived
increase?
increase, but I think it's always existed.
So you think they're just able to be heard now? So we see them all? Because
Yeah.
I mean, like, you got to think there are people like this. Everyone knows someone who just doesn't believe in science, whether it's about in any way, shape, or form. Like we all know somebody. They're everywhere, and whether it's about the vaccine or whether your uncle believes that dinosaurs weren't real, or you know what I mean, something. It's a bad example, but like it doesn't necessarily have to be about these modern polarizing issues. But I kind of agree with that. I kind of agree that I mean there's
Well,
always been people like this, but it's just they're more visible now, being able to. I mean, you can make a video on TikTok, for example, and just throw it out into the void, and it's seen by as many just random strangers that the algorithm
well,
tries to.
the problem with TikTok, in my opinion, is the platform stands very, very firmly on misinformation.
Oh, 100%.
Because you
I'd
give
say it's
that
everywhere.
you get yeah, but
But that's
TikTok
worse.
is so
TikTok's is
influential. It's
TikTok
so influential right
is
now.
Yeah,
It's everywhere.
And it's the
They have
worst
over
about
a
it.
billion global users right now. Over a billion. That's a seventh of the world population.
Bonkers.
That is pretty bonkers.
So
I just
yeah,
feel like misinformation is reciprocated more on Facebook than on TikTok.
it's
I feel like
like you already said, it's everywhere. But I think
okay.
you have young children predominantly using this app, and you have a few boomers trying to fit in, who are seeing and hearing and watching, a lifetime's worth of fucking information every day, and
I just
for them to
I
have
feel
to pick it apart is a little unfair.
well, I feel like Facebook is more of an echo chamber than TikTok. With TikTok, you're sending it out into the void, and you're getting strangers either way, but you're getting strangers on both sides. I mean, more than likely, more on your side because the algorithm's going to pair you with people that think are going to like your video. But on Facebook, your friends list is curated, so it's usually people you know and like. And if it's you're talking to strangers, it's usually in a group, which is a bunch of like-minded people in the same place. So I feel like while it's easier to put the information out on TikTok, it gets picked up and passed around and accepted more on Facebook.
Yeah, but I feel that you can do more damage with misinformation on TikTok than you can Facebook.
I mean,
I just in my experience, I don't find a lot of
it comes down to
that
the
online.
power of video, I think.
I mean, in reality, like back in the start of the pandemic, there was so much information floating around that every single person that was in America that was eligible to get a stimulus check probably had some type of information that was sent to them through TikTok because these people decided, hey, I'm going to report on this information that I have no fucking idea what's going on, but I saw it on the news, so I'm going to go ahead and report it to TikTok. And then that's how these people started getting their foot in the door, and now they do, whether it be like little news sections or updates that are going to help the American people from the coronavirus bills that get passed
Yeah.
or that are in place. I mean, I remember going through TikTok and getting stuck in coronavirus like stimulus package TikTok for a while, and every single person was saying something different about the same exact bill or the same exact situation. Or it's like, hey, these people got this stimulus check. Make sure you're doing this to check and see if you get it. And in reality, they were almost 6 days early. So it's TikTok is a whole different ball game. It's like taking YouTube and Facebook and taking the worst parts of both and just putting it all in one.
Um, yeah, I can see that. I agree. I can see because I mean, it showed itself again in the Gabby Petito case,
Yeah.
where you have everybody and their mother taking their opinions and putting it out there as this is my theory, and you have all these TikTok psychics calling and clogging up the FBI tip lines because Gabby spoke to them in a dream.
Did both of you watch Bo Burnham's Inside Netflix special?
I did.
Yeah.
Okay, so he has the perfect fucking little segment in that, and it's when it's one of the scenes where he's just talking and not singing a funny song. And if you guys don't mind, I'm gonna play the audio for it here real quick. It's very relevant, so just give me one moment, and I will play it into my microphone here.
Is it necessary that every single person on this planet expresses every single opinion that they have on every single thing that occurs all at the same time? Is that necessary? Or to ask it a slightly different way, can anyone shut the fuck up? Is it necessary?
So there you have it. Is it necessary? No. In my opinion, absolutely not.
Agreed.
But it sure is fun.
Yeah.
You also like toxicity, so
See, and that's
That's
the
fair.
thing. I stay on TikTok for the toxicity.
well, I think it's fun because it gives you an opportunity to see, you know, and really the For You page is what it's going to come down to, what you see. Obviously, depending on what you're watching, the algorithm's going to push that. However, I think it's cool because every once in a while you get introduced to something new, and whether it's political or funny or, a craft or some other fucking random video, um, it can end up being something that you might enjoy. And
Yeah.
and in that regard, I think it's fun to be a part of that. However, when you're just being bombarded with like anti this or anti that, um, constantly on the platform, it has a way of wearing you down and making you feel kind of like you're stuck in a vacuum or an echo chamber of just misinformation.
Totally. I
Because
get that.
everyone's opinion, because you're watching a bunch of videos about like minded opinions versus a wide variety of opinions. But that's just the way it is. And we can't, we just have we all have a social responsibility to try and I guess decipher what we want to believe, and people are going to believe what they want to believe, regardless of science or not. So some people say fuck science, some people say I only believe in science. You have people like the Pope now to kind of get us back in the direction of where we were at with reincarnation. The Pope, just a couple years ago, publicly, embraced that the Big Bang Theory is a commonly accepted scientific, fact. And their play is, and the religious community there is, who's to say God didn't snap his finger and make the Big Bang happen, and that was the creation of the universe. So
A little
if that
tidbit on that. I saw a TikTok once. I love TikTok.
Garbage.
Where a man said apparently that first line in the Bible where it says "in the beginning" is a mistranslation, and it's supposed to say "in a beginning." So that's supposed to mean that the Big Bang was not referenced at all. And I know that's like splitting hairs and all, but I just thought that was funny.
I'm
So
laughing.
like, so like, do you guys believe in reincarnation or no?
Spirituality is a very touchy subject for me. I grew up in a very religious background, and I think people that are exposed to it at a very young and impressionable age become adults and end up resenting it. Um, Not because they don't believe in it, but because they were oppressed by it. So for me, I have a very complicated past with many different forms of religion. And I say, you know what? Fuck it. Maybe it does exist. I'm not saying it doesn't. There's no scientific evidence to tell me that it doesn't or does exist.
I like that. What about you, Josh?
You know me.
That's a great answer.
I
That
know.
is it's a fabulous answer. You want to elaborate? Or?
Fabulous. I mean, I can. Grew up Roman Catholic. Stopped going to church when I was way younger. Um, had a little bit of tragedy happen in my life, and had a really disgusting relationship with God because he was cruel as shit. And now I sit in limbo of I don't even know what the fuck's going on. I barely wake up in the morning, so well,
It's all those bangs you drink.
it is all the bangs. Shout out to Bang
What's
Energy
funny?
again. Hopefully we can get that sponsorship.
I had exactly 3 instances with the church in my childhood. One, I went to vacation Bible camp for 5 days. Not like, but like during the day. Were very religious. That was an overall pretty good experience. That was fun, but I was a child. The second one, my parents made me go once. I was maybe 8, but I had to go to big boy church, so it was really boring, and I could not tell you a single word that was uttered because I was 8, sitting in the pews for hours. And the last time was in high school, and it was one of those deals where like, yeah, you can stay the night, but you got to go to church with us in the morning. And I was like, oh, that's fine. I don't have any clothes. And he's like, oh, that's fine. So I roll into this church, and it's like the big church in town, the one that was just redone and has the massive everything, right? They just did like a massive renovation project of the church. So here I am in this dirty black hoodie with a big old metal militia skull on the front of it and torn up jeans, sitting in the pews with my friend. And the whole time, all the pastor talked about was how teenagers deserve no privacy and they should not have doors on their room, or their parents should have all their passwords online. And then he transitioned into yelling about how no one's donating to the church and they just did this renovation and they can't pay for it. And that's been my experience. But I think because I was not, forced into a religion as a child, I was able to dabble at my own pace and in my own interest.
That's good.
In that. And that has led me, I would say, to about the same spot. And I don't really know. It could be not be.
I can say from personal firsthand experience that children who are automatically pushed into a system like organized religion, specifically Christianity in this respect, and are raised in that in a very oppressive situation, in a mega church, and people say eat the rich. I say eat the fucking churches. Those fuckers need taxed. I'm serious. They need tax. Fucking mega churches that are making billions of dollars a year because people are donating 10% of their livelihood to something that they believe in is disgusting, in my opinion. And that money should be taxed. Have you ever walked into a mega church? Have you ever been to a Grace Brethren? I'll get on a fucking tangent about that real quick. The first time I walked into a Grace Brethren and heard their fucking little morning sermon, they started it off with homosexuality sends you to hell. And I'm like, I'm out. I'm not a homo. I'm not a homo by any means, but I do not tolerate homophobia through religious means. It's a fucking scapegoat and it's a piss poor excuse to hate people, and fuck them.
Fuck them.
That's horrible.
The Catholic Church in town actually is a mega church. Roman Catholics.
Oh, rich.
I mean, you have to realize that my grandmother, my great grandmother, and every single person in their family grew up Roman Catholic. I can tell you horror stories. I'm talking like Predator horror stories that you have to wait to get approval through the church to dissolve any type of marriage or anything of that nature, and it took years to get approved.
Boy Scouts thought they had it bad.
Not months, years to get it approved. That leaves such a bad taste in my mouth that I don't even know if I can go to church. And I've done multiple churches. I've gone to, we went to a Mormon church once. We also had them preach to us at our doorstep, as the traditional Mormons will. I have
and then
been.
When they came back, we turned all the lights off and pretended nobody was home.
Yep. I have been to those New Age churches. The ones where they're like, hey, the pastor wears jeans, you can wear jeans or whatever you want.
Oh,
and
God.
It's like a bunch of singing and just a bunch of like trying to get millennials and Gen Zers into church. I've been to those, and I can't find my fit. I really cannot find my fit, and I think a lot of it has to do with the stuff that I experienced as a child and growing up. Who the fuck is God, and why the fuck did he do all that shit?
You guys know who Kenneth Copeland is? I bet you do. If I quote him here real quick.
Do it.
It was a very, very popular TikTok video at the beginning of the pandemic. COVID-19, I blow you away with the winds of God. Yeah, that motherfucker. Let's talk about how this guy, this televisionist Kenneth Copeland is using money from the church to fly private jets to all over the country, wherever the fuck he feels like going, using church money because he's technically a minister or a pastor or whatever. So he can. It's all a tax write-off. He takes that money and says, "Oh, I'm traveling for business, spreading the word of God." And this dude's driving fucking nice ass cars. He wears, fine suits. And I mean, he literally has a auditorium filled with people who are willing to hand their money over to him because they think he is speaking some sort of magical truth to them. And to me, it is simply a situation where where weak-minded people are being taken advantage of through their wallet and being given salvation. It's sickening.
I am a salesman, and I have always been a salesman at heart. I can circumnavigate a conversation better than anybody I know. But people who start their private churches or start a following based off of how they interpret the Bible are fucking disgusting.
That's every church, though.
All of them.
It's
Any
but
organized
okay,
religion.
but it's not. I'm talking.
Though. It's the Roman Catholics are no. He doesn't interpret the Bible right. I interpret the Bible right. He's not strict enough. Come to my church.
Yeah, you're right. But the thing is, I'm talking about these individual people who utilize the tax write-offs to, like, it's their job. Like, they make, let's say Joe Schmo worked at Costco for 20 years and he said, "Oh wow, this guy is making millions of dollars now every year just talking about the Bible. I can do that."
Yeah.
Because when you identify yourself as a leader of a church, every single thing that you own can now be written off as a tax write-off.
Right, but the church pays for the lives of all the first, like full-time pastors. They're the church.
Oh, you're right.
I mean, like,
There's still stipulations though. You're not gonna see a pastor come in, not in like, unless there's some really major funding issues, like there's something to really look into. You're not gonna see a pastor drive in a Bugatti or a Lamborghini. You're not gonna see that unless something is being abused.
Can I clarify some of my harsh remarks from earlier? I've been to a lot of churches, Grace Brethren being, one of the mega churches I've been to, who has a disgusting amount of money and uses their platform to preach to people in state-of-the-art auditoriums. And I have been to tiny little, single-room churches on a hill with, maybe 12 pews in it. Those churches, those little 12 pew churches,
Or probably one of the most
that's
natural.
real.
Yeah.
Where there's a parsonage, where there's a parsonage out back, and the current standing priest or minister or is staying there, living there, and practicing what he believes is the word of God. And he's not doing it for money. He's doing it because it's something that he believes in.
Mhm.
I do not have a problem with those sorts of churches. I have a problem when we're on national television and flying first class, sipping on martinis on our way to Hawaii to do a television program about screaming into a microphone and speaking in tongues, going,
I was just about. I wanted to bring that up so bad. I cannot and will not stand behind anybody who speaks in tongues.
It's fucking nonsense.
It is absolute nonsense.
I don't think religion itself is the problem. I just think it's the humans that like.
It's 100%
absolutely. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. These people need taxed. I don't think all churches need taxed. I think ones that meet a certain threshold need taxed.
Agreed.
Yeah. Well,
If
I mean, you have churches like, I want to say it was Joel Alstein. I don't think it was Katrina, but he has a mega church down in the south, and he locked his doors on the community when there was a hurricane coming through and people needed a place to go. This mega church, he locked the doors and was like, "No, we don't do that. We don't do that." And it's like, you're a fucking church.
Yeah.
What are you? Well, you're here for the
What do you
community,
do?
right?
Yeah.
What the fuck do you do?
Yeah.
Churches that uplift their communities and do drives and actually reach out to help people,
Like,
you know.
speaking from experience, the Catholic churches are probably one of the larger churches that are reasonable. Because not only do they have a church, but they also do schooling. Not only do they
Yeah.
do schooling, they also do housing. They do a bunch of drives. They do a bunch of things. Like if you were to walk up the door, up the steps to the door of the church in town, they would take you in. They would
Oh
bring you
yeah.
in any time of day. There's literally somebody that sits in there all the time.
Just a tidbit. Have you ever heard someone tell you a good story about Catholic school though?
No,
No.
they don't exist.
I had a friend who.
I mean, because
Yeah.
you have to realize that in elementary school, right? You go to church twice a week, and one time a month, you are the one who is providing that service to the church. No, thank you. That can no way.
Well, I mean, it goes back to the idea of them having a school that's for the community. That's great, but in practice, not so great.
But the thing is you, based off of your current city, okay, where we grew up, right? That's one of the better schools.
What
It
school
closed
are you
down.
referring to? Because it closed.
The high school closed.
If you're talking about Marian Catholic, it is all gone. It is gone.
The elementary school is still there. My cousin is in that elementary school.
I'm talking
That's
about
that's a
post
new age
elementary
church now.
What is it?
It's a new age church. If the building moved, I believe it. But are you talking about the one that's downtown or the one that's on?
Yes. No, the one that's
Okay.
downtown.
See,
That's
the
an
other one is
elementary
some new
though.
age apex church.
Yes. You can only go through Marian Catholic until I think 6th grade now. 7th, 8th, 9th, and then of course through high school, whatever. You have to go to a public school or you have to, go somewhere else. But the elementary school has always been there because it's attached to the church. That's not going to go anywhere.
Right.
Nothing is more terrifying than a child coming out of Catholic church and then going into public school the second half of their life.
In my anecdotal experience,
Yeah.
and now I'm not talking shit. The one
Oh,
person I knew I went to school with from Marian Catholic is probably the most mentally ill person I've ever met in my entire life.
He was made that way, just so you know. He was bred to be that way.
They are probably like one of the most traumatized people I've ever met
Yes.
in my entire life.
Yes. Same situation here in Delaware. We have St. Mary's, and they do K through 8. And then once you get to high school, you either went to, well, at the time, you either went to Marian Catholic or you went to public school. Now, Marian Catholic's not on the table anymore, so they all most likely go to public school, or they go to charter, or they go to charter online. But regardless, I had a couple of them in my class, below me, mind you, but still in my school. And those kids were fucked up. And when I say fucked up, I mean these kids ended up being on drugs. They had behavioral issues. They were oppressed. And they were oppressed and suppressed. I mean, they were put in a fucking bubble, told, all these wonderful things about how God is good and you're going to leave this school being a better person for it. And then they get thrown into the public system, which is basically essentially like getting thrown into like county jail.
Yeah.
And literally got fucking raped in their brains.
So speaking of that though, Catholic Church is a lot of who you surround yourself with. So of course these kids that are
It's
gonna,
clicky.
yeah, but of course these kids that are gonna come out of Catholic school and get thrown into public schools like that, they are going to experience some major issues, and that's gonna, you saying that it's like being thrown into county jail is 100% correct, because in the Catholic schooling system, you are taught to rely on each other for each other's faith and each other's assistance, or like helping to help you get through school. So when you go from that, from preschool to eighth grade, and then you go freshman through senior year with these kids who party, do drugs, smoke weed, or drink, do whatever, right? You're supposed to be relying on them like you were before. So of course you're gonna have a lot of major issues. I'm not saying that it's right. I'm just saying that I can see why that falls into place. But unfortunately, there wasn't enough students to keep the high school
Yeah.
open.
I don't actually
Another
condone underage smoking, just so everyone's aware of that. So
Yes, that is our hard stance on the podcast. Wait till you're of age. Another little anecdotal experience, just talking about kids who were put into religion. A lot of the kids I knew growing up in youth group, they were split almost directly in half. Half of them were genuinely about the life, and most of all them went to like religious colleges and are going into jobs in the church or other things of the nature. And the other half were the biggest partiers and drinkers and smokers, fighters, drug dealers of them all. And I just think that's it's just funny to see how the
Well,
church can affect different people.
it's
I'm gonna
go ahead.
go ahead. No, you.
Okay, it's because this youth group that you're referring to is one of the mega churches, and they paid for those kids to go and do crazy things.
Mhm.
Because I was part of said youth group because it was so close. I stayed I stayed overnight at a laser tag. We did skiing. We went abroad. We did lock-ins at just random places like a trampoline park. These All of these things, you don't get to do that unless you're part of a youth group. And this youth group, that's how they got kids to come in. And in reality, it was when you were there, you saw the two separate cliques inside the youth group itself, which
So
is
you're saying,
absolute,
okay,
which is
that's really funny.
absolutely crazy, because you see, hey, these kids have their Bibles. They are actively interacting with the pastor. They are like they answer the they answer the poor guy's text message blasts. Okay, and I'm just
Okay,
sitting here and I'm just like, when's the next party?
have you guys seen the video of the preacher? He's preaching about youth group, and he's like, I had this kid in youth group this week, and the whole sermon he was just playing around and joking and making a joke with the Lord. And at one point, I just got fed up with it, and I walked over and I punched him square in the
Yeah.
chest. And I mean, I just crumpled the kid. And I leaned over him and I got in his face and I said, Jeremy, when are you going to stop making a joke of the Lord? So you're telling me you can see who's making a joke with the Lord and
A
who's
hundred
not
percent.
in the youth group.
Oh,
I love that.
buddy, and that's the reason why there were so many kids that attended this church. But
They had a whole section. The youth group had a whole like
we had
upper
a whole
level section.
building. We had a whole
I mean, like
building.
in the new mass center,
Yeah,
they had a whole like seating section that was just for.
yeah. It was. I mean, this group probably. I mean, I stopped going after I realized, like, wow, this is what this is for. But uh, we probably had 60 kids, and out of those 60, 13, 14 maybe were actually there for religious reasons. I just
I feel like that has a lot to do with home life too. I bet every one of the kids that were there for religious reasons, I bet their parents were also there for religious reasons and were religious people and good,
Mm-hmm.
people who were there for the church. And the other half, maybe they weren't, the genuine Christians. Maybe they were the sin all week and go repent on Sunday kind of people.
Vacation Bible School is actually free daycare for low-income communities. Just so you know,
Are
I've
you
witnessed.
telling me I was poor?
I was.
I know I was poor.
I was witness. I was witness to very bad parents dropping off their poor children to Vacation Bible School before, and
That's
you could tell,
horrible.
that it was just the parents taking advantage of the
Community
free
resource.
the free festivities so they could go out and do whatever bad parents do with their time. I'm not a bad parent, so I don't know what they do with their time. But I can tell you this, they are not following their curriculum. But to center ourselves and come full circle here, reincarnation, I think, is a very peaceful and very I think it's kind of karma based as well. You could go with if you put out good vibes, you'll be reincarnated into something good, versus like if you're an asshole and don't put out good vibes, you're going to come back as like a rock or something.
Don't quote me. I think in I don't remember which Hinduism or Buddhism it is. In that form of reincarnation, you have something. You have like a lesson to learn
Hmm.
or something to better yourself, and it's like there's so many steps before you reach enlightenment. You know what I mean? So like
Yeah.
every time you reincarnate, you have something new to learn or be better about or something like that.
So I didn't get to really speak on the reincarnation portion, since I don't
This
really
is a whole
know.
different podcast. It's not even reincarnation anymore.
I don't even,
Yeah.
I don't even really know where I stand. But the thought of reincarnation makes me uncomfortable. I cannot wrap my mind around it
I can
because
see that. Yeah, I can
when
see
you
that.
when you think of it, like, how do you know that you're reincarnated? And a lot of ways that people report are going to be deja vu. Like, hey, I've been in a situation like this before. But the thing is, I don't get deja vu ever. So am I like brand
I
new? Is
You
this
can
my
be a
first
noose.
cycle?
So there is so there is theory out there, and this is anecdotal once again. That's how we're running this shit tonight. But there is theory out there that you could be what's considered a new soul. You haven't your soul has not experienced a past life,
I done fucked this shit up, buddy.
and you're just running with a whole new gig right now.
um,
The term old soul, which applies sadly to my life very often, um, is usually, see, people like to bring spirituality into people's demeanor and behavior and
Hmm.
personalities a lot of the time.
I don't think
And
that's real though, but that's just my.
oh no, but I'm saying people like to do that.
Hmm.
I'm not saying that it's real. I'm saying people like to do that. When you get called an old soul, it's usually because you're speaking on matters that are far beyond your maturity level, or perhaps you're listening to like some 70s music that a 12-year-old has no business
That was
listening
literally my
to.
entire life. I
You know,
always got those comments. You,
yeah,
you, like, and it's just something that I find comforting. Like, there's just
yeah.
some things that I find comforting, but I do
on
not believe that it was something to do with, I don't know. Who knows?
on another vein, some people believe that you in your early life, like they say you don't really form memories until 2 or 3 years old, whatever it is. People say like in your early life you remember more about your past life, and then as you age you kind of just forget all that. So,
Right.
and then as you take in, your new experiences and your new life and all that. But my thing on that is, I kind of believe like all we have are our experiences and our memories. That's what makes you you, because that's what shapes your perception of the world. I think we talked about this before. Like, if you did something and you experience it, and like especially if you did something alone and you don't remember it, did that thing even happen? Like, because
Right.
you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So like, at that point is like, I think reincarnation is not so much an afterlife as if you get kind of reset every time. You know what I mean?
I mean, it's really no different than if a tree falls down in the woods and no one's around to hear it. Did it make a sound? You know.
That movie just came
Yeah.
out, by the way. Can't wait to go see it.
That's a movie.
Dear Evan Hansen. It just got released on the 24th.
Oh, that was a stretch of a reference, dude.
How?
Well, because if you've not heard the musical Dear Evan Hansen,
Okay,
and
but you
also you
have.
don't recall that single line from that single song, you're not gonna
The
get the
opener,
reference.
you're right.
Like
You're
Nick
so
here
right.
has no idea what you're talking about. I don't know. The opener is. Does anybody have a map? So it's not even. I don't think it's even from the opener. I think that's from waving through a window.
No. It's referenced a couple times. We're about to Google this shit. Spotify, maybe?
But I am excited to see that. I can't wait till I can stream it and don't have to go to the theaters to watch it
It's
or
because you're
pirate it.
gay.
Pirating is 110%
Illegal.
awesome.
It's
You
illegal.
wouldn't download a car. You wouldn't download a house.
You could 3D print one now.
A pirate? I mean, that's pretty cool.
A pirate. I mean, yes.
Think
No,
it-
I'm pretty
think-
excited to
hey,
see it.
I'm gonna do some product placement here for a website that does not, support this podcast whatsoever. But
Yet.
you can go over to thingiverse.com and you can find all sorts of cool 3D print, schematics. So there's a little tidbit for y'all.
Thingiverse?
Does any of us have a 3D printer?
No.
No, I don't, but I watch videos of people who do, and I know about their shit. So I'm bringing it to this podcast so people who
Nick
like
said-
3D printing can do it.
Nick said I went and
Yeah.
checked out the website. It's pretty cool. I
I
can't
mean,
really
it
get
made
anything,
me.
but it's cool.
I tell you what, it really made my impoverished ass really want a 3D printer. I'll tell you that much.
That's so funny.
Oh.
Oh man.
So
You're
you
right.
guys wanna
Anybody
go
have a
into
map
some
is
cryptids?
song 1.
You guys cannot talk at the same time.
You're
That's all I'm
wrong.
gonna
We
say.
can. We just did.
I'm just trying to be honest here. Yes, we can move on to cryptids. I think we've covered the religion
Reincarnation.
slash reincarnation.
Okay. I'll go first. I have a
Do.
couple I'm going to touch on, and one I want to talk about a little bit. So I just want to talk about, say, Bigfoot first. I mean, everybody knows about Bigfoot, but I think there's a lot of validity in Bigfoot because you see them everywhere. Everywhere has their own Bigfoot, and it's either that they're common enough that they're everywhere, or that everybody wants a piece of the cryptid magic, so they make it up themselves. But I mean, you have like Bigfoot in the Pacific Northwest and all through the middle, and over here, you have the Ohio grassman, you have the skunk ape, you have the Yeti. I mean, they're all of the same vein, right? Big hairy humanoid ape monster.
Those are all literally strains of weed, just so you know.
So I think that's cool. That he's everywhere. Now, have you guys heard of the Jersey Devil?
I have, yes.
So the Jersey Devil, I can't recall the origin, but I like
Kind
it.
of a
It's
horse-looking thing, right, with
it
wings.
has a goat head with like a bat's body
Okay.
and horse feet.
Okay,
hooved
yeah.
feet.
That's where I was getting
And-
the horse bit.
And it's featured in the Animal Planet show Lost Tapes, which is a really fun watch if you're into cryptids, because what it is found footage encounters of these cryptids. It's all fake, but they cover all the heavy hitters. And the Jersey Devil, it's pretty cool. It's these girls who are in the woods in New Jersey, and you say Jersey Devil 3 times, and then it flies overhead and it chases them into this house, and like they're recording, through the crack in this abandoned house in this closet, and you just see these massive hooves like boom, boom, boom into frame because it's cinematic, because it's a TV show. But it's really great, and I think it's kind of one of the more absurd cryptids because it's like a horse, bat, goat with horns, and it's just like it's like man, bear, pig. That's what I think of. I think of man, bear, pig when I think of the Jersey Devil. And then finally, less of a cryptid, kind of a cryptid, giant humanoids. I love the idea of giants,
Yes.
giant humanoids. Now, I'm not talking fantasy 100-foot giants. I'm talking 7 to 10-foot giants.
Very large people.
Which are realistic today. And they would even seem even more monstrous if you think, back in ye old medieval times where everybody was a foot shorter than they are now, right? And the thing that gets me is you have giant encounters similar to Bigfoot, but it's all across the world, and it's all over ancient times, from Asia to the Americas and the Indians. It's everywhere. And my favorite one is, this is anecdotal. I don't have my sources cited. It's from a podcast I listened to. It's an Indian story of this, giant that would come and terrorize their tribe and steal their food and stuff. And then one day they decided to fight back, and they all, chase the giant into this cave, and they were able to use, fire and tools to collapse the mouth of the cave, trapping the giant in the cave, and killing it. And then fast forward to the 1800s, when we're late 1800s, when we're exploring America, and seeing what this country has to offer as a new virgin country. And they find this cave that has a 9-foot skeleton, and it like burn marks all over the cave. Like, they found a cave with this giant skeleton that basically matched the medieval or the Indian what's a cryptid, folklore story. And to me, that means they're real. Plain and simple, they're real.
So
I mean, we have them today. I mean, how tall is Shaq? He's like 7 feet or more, right? And
it's so you said everybody back in the day was a foot shorter, and I've been just sitting on that for the last minute and 30 seconds, because how were people operating at 4'9"?
it's really crazy, and I'm curious as to, like, do you think I don't know the science behind why we got bigger. I'm assuming it's because the conditions just got more favorable for us to grow.
I think
Like,
that
food
it's
was
because
sustained, and
we started putting food on shelves, and we had to grow and adapt to higher shelves.
I just feel like before you were more limited by your size, was almost limited by the amount of food you could catch. You know what I mean? And
Really?
today it's so readily available. I just feel like
So what you're
people
saying is,
are
if I eat more, I'm gonna grow taller.
you grow taller. Yeah.
That's what you said.
No, but
That's what you said.
yes, that's what I'm saying. I just feel like on a generational level, mothers are more well fed and can handle bigger, healthier babies. There are more big babies. Big people make more big people, and then slowly but surely, as a human race, we just inch taller.
You know what I think actually happened?
What?
The giant and the normal sized lady, they had a baby that made
Had a baby.
the
A
generation
donkey of
of,
sorts.
yeah, right, a
A
jackass.
mule of sorts, I should say. But that's really funny. But there is a limit to how tall people can grow. I don't know the exact height, but if you get over a certain height, your veins don't quite reach. Your blood doesn't flow right. Our nervous system isn't made to stretch that tall. So there is like a certain height where once you hit it and exceed it, you run into a lot of health issues like varicose veins and spinal issues and stuff like that.
Well, why don't we just adapt?
Well, yeah, we just need to install more nervous system.
Duh. Go ahead and run the upgrade, dude. Just fill me up with with Windows 10. I mean,
So, do you think if I get Neuralink from Elon Musk, do you think that'll make me taller?
That's a good question.
Will it extend my nervous system? I just think it's crazy. It's hard to believe. Like,
So,
I mean, some of the things can be explained, but like there are so many cryptid stories that just span the globe across time, and it's not like the Indians are telling a story they heard from another people they've never met before. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
how do these two populations that have no interaction with each other have a similar story of a similar beast? I mean, the context of the story is not necessarily the same, but the giant is the same, or whether it's the giant or the yeti or whatever, the creature is the same across the board. So it makes me feel like maybe they did exist at one time, if they don't now. I mean,
So,
have you heard the theory that FDR created the National Park Service because he knew there was something living in these woods,
I did hear that
like a
theory.
skinwalker or
Yeah.
something? He did that to contain them and keep people out of there, or whatever. That's a fun little
I
tidbit to think about.
so what do you think right now in today's society is preventing us from continuing to grow?
What do you mean, like to grow taller?
Yeah, because the thing is if you think about it, something that just clicked in my mind, which I may be a little too intoxicated to even think this hard right now. When you're a baby, you're like this big.
Uh huh.
That means your bones grow.
Yes, your bones grow.
Like your actual bones. Like my femur has grown. What makes it stop growing?
It's there's something that makes it stop growing. This is me completely talking out of my ass. I'm not a scientist here. Okay, I think that the evolution of our bodies has not caught up to our, I don't know, our surroundings, like our availability. Like in theory, like right now we have like someone is born into a first world country and they have all their needs met. In theory, like there's nothing, there's no food shortages or medicine shortages or anything like that preventing them from growing to their fullest, healthiest potential. I think even though we have all those needs met, I don't think evolution has caught up yet. There's no need for people to be that big. So the people who like there's there's no reason uh, for the body to adapt and grow in that way.
Gotcha.
Yeah. So, Josh, what do you have in the way of cryptids?
Yeah, so whatever this is called. I did Chupacabra just because it's such a fun word. And
El Chupacabra.
El
They've
Chupac.
migrated into Texas.
Actually, I have some good information for you, right? So, El Chupacabra or Chupacabra is actually Spanish for goat sucker.
Goat sucker.
Goat sucker. So if
That was my
that's,
nickname in college.
It's hot.
I'm not surprised. Not gonna say I'm surprised the least bit. But this is actually one of the more recent in the list of cryptids. The reason being is because this actually, the first one that was spotted was in 1995 in Puerto Rico. Uh, the name was originated from the vampirism qualities that it had because it was draining the blood of local livestock, and farmers were coming out to their animals dead, but with small puncture wounds, and every drop of blood being extracted from their livestock's bodies. So this is something fucking weird, or this is somebody that has a really bad hankering for some animal
A
blood.
fetish.
Like he or she bathes
They
in animal
have
blood.
they might have a slight iron deficiency, so they're just supplementing it.
Have
So
you
yeah.
have you seen the pictures of the chupacabra? Has a picture of what's supposedly a dead chupacabra, but it's actually a coyote with mange, and it's
Uh
the ugliest fucking thing.
yes, yes, I've seen that, and that brings up some points later on in the little subject here. But So basically, we're talking about a vampire mixed with an animal, like an everyday animal, right? Because the description of a chupacabra comes down to a mixture of a man and a lizard hybrid with sharp fins running down its spine and is also reported to be the size of a small bear.
Hmm.
So,
What's a small bear? Like a bear
uh,
cub?
Like a
Or like
panda bear?
no, probably like a not like a a grizzly bear, but more like a brown
like
bear.
like a small brown bear?
Yeah, right.
Like
But
Winnie the Pooh.
honestly, envisioning this, I can't because bears are fat. They're hefty animals.
See, all I picture is that coyote. When I think of the chupacabras, I picture the coyote.
Yeah,
It
but
looked like if one of the hyenas from Lion King had leukemia.
I was gonna
That's what it
say,
looked like.
when I think of the chupacabra, I think of like sort of like a hyena that does heroin. So
see,
kind of the same, right?
when I thought of the
Yeah.
chupacabra, I thought it was a fucking dog. But it's like the
Oh, well,
actual photos or the illustration of what was recorded then, because of course it was 1995. We didn't really have like cameras were around, but they were like they weren't digital or anything like that. They were still the film and you get whatever developed. But the photos that have come is like they do a lot of from photo to sketch to try to get a better actual clear description of it. And it literally looks like a fucking person hunched over with a lizard head, arms like a man, and is just fat with spine with like spikes running off its back like a
are you
fish.
looking at this picture?
Let me see.
This is not good for podcasting to talk about a picture.
Yeah, yeah, exactly that.
So it looks it it looks like a hairless cat, kind of, but the face gives me goblin vibes,
Yeah,
like your standard fantasy goblin. But like, yeah, but this illustration does look like a hairless cat with an ugly
it's
face
uncomfortable.
and a
It's
spiny
uncomfortable to look
body.
at.
Yeah, I'll post it on the Facebook page.
You
I will
do
do
it.
that.
But so it's and the thing is you have to realize this is our time, right? It's like we're like the Goonies. This is our time. Uh so for this to be 3 years prior to my birth, uh to be cited, that's pretty crazy to me. Where like the Loch Ness monster has been around for forever.
Forever,
I'm literally
a brand
forever.
new cryptid.
Uh Bigfoot's been around for a long time, you know. But for something to be so recent within the last 30 years, that's something pretty cool.
Some
Basically,
people think
space
it's an
aliens.
I say some people think it's an alien hybrid
Yeah,
that was
yeah,
unleashed on planet Earth.
yeah. And the thing is like, what? Why? There, and the thing like, why?
Why us? Why now?
I don't understand like, cause it wasn't just like it was two or three livestock that were drained of their blood. There were reportings of hundreds.
But here's the thing: it lives in the desert kind of climate in the northern Mexico, lower southern United States kind of area, and there's so much land there that's completely uninhabited because it's just fucking barren. So if something like that can survive out there, it's not unrealistic for it to never be seen. I feel like.
Yeah, but see,
I
the
mean, how
thing
many
is,
people go missing in the desert every year and they're never found?
well, that's the cartel. But so, like, going into the sightings now, there have been sightings as far north as Maine.
Oh, that's wild.
So now, when this so off of the sources, of course, the sightings are sightings of an animal that fits the description, not of reports of livestock being depleted of all their blood. Like
So it could be that coyote with mange in Maine.
exactly. So of course, our government, being our government, has written off these sightings as everyday animals that have mange. So a coyote with mange, or a bear with mange, something of that nature. And wildlife management officials have deemed the chupacabra as an urban legend. But
Well,
what happened to those livestock?
exactly. I mean, can you? It's
Somebody
one of those
had a
things.
super soaker,
A
connected it
super
to
soaker.
an IV tube, and just started pumping the shit out of it to pull all that blood out of there.
Or hear me
Flintstone
out. Okay.
gummies.
There was a time traveler from 2020. Okay, they traveled back in time to find livestock that was recently dosed with vitamin, whatever that is, the horse dewormer, right? They stole all their blood, brought it back to the future, and drank it so they'd be immune to COVID.
All right, that's what it is. We cracked the case.
That's my theory.
That's not a theory. That is
That
written in blood, as they would say.
is our hard stance on the podcast.
Yep, that's how it is. So that's all I did. I only had the chupacabra because I,
Cabra.
as every other week, am completely unprepared, and I typed this up in 25 minutes before we started the call.
I love that for you.
I know,
proud of
thank
you.
you.
It looks like, as usual, part of the course, we're running a little over on time. So we're going to go ahead and axe that Am I the Asshole segment
I'm
again.
gonna have to say
and
you
move
are
on
the
to
asshole for
trivia.
axing it every single week,
We're
buddy.
axing it a third episode in a row.
Axing
Yes,
it.
yes.
We are, in
Accent.
fact, the
So we'll just do
assholes.
we'll do a special episode that is just all
All.
the Am I the Asshole?
I'm going to introduce
a whole 3-hour episode.
I'm going to introduce a revolutionary idea
I'm ready.
on
Here for it.
episode 5. We start the episode with Am I the Asshole?
Oh my, that's this man.
That's genius. You
Blasphemy. Sacrilege?
I think that would be fun. We'll start off with that, and then we'll move on. So
at
get it in.
least we
I
get
like
it in. Yeah.
For tonight, Joshua is going to be our humble host for trivia.
Humble, bitch. I'm the best there's ever been. Just
Can
kidding.
you give us a rundown of your rules, please?
Yes. It's gonna be the same rules as the first episode. I'm gonna ask you guys a series of questions. They are general questions, no specific. Actually, I'm just kidding. I actually chose a specific category this time. It's food and beverage. So it's going to be going off of some pretty fun things I found. And I actually really enjoyed the way that Nick gave us these questions. So I'm actually going to present it that way. Tyler, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. Nick, I'm going to ask you 5 questions. Tally up and see where we come in at. And we'll go from there.
It's just so much easier. Yes.
Yeah. I would like to point out that I am the best there has ever been at trivia, and I have won every single game that I have participated in. So both of you can eat your hearts out. Okay?
Wait, did you win last episode?
I did.
You won last night, but I won the first 2, and
I don't know.
I won yours, Tyler.
I don't think you did. Well, you won mine, yes.
And I won Tyler's.
If one of our viewers chime in and let us know who has the most wins.
It's me.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Josh, you're lying.
I think it's me.
It's not you. You
Tyler,
always lose.
No, Tyler, you did the story. You made us do the whole create a movie thing, right?
Oh,
and
that's
you,
right.
And you chose both of mine. You chose all of mine, and I won.
That's because Tyler hates me for my mom dying, which is not fair at all.
I'm just a better storyteller.
You know what? It doesn't matter because guess what? I'm the president now. Okay.
Whoa,
all right.
Joshua.
I'm the captain now.
Okay. So let's go ahead and
victim now.
Shut up. It's my turn. So to get us started off on the right foot, Nick, I'm gonna ask you for your questions first, okay?
Love it.
All right. So, Nick, what is the rarest M&M color?
Purple.
What? No, there's not even a purple. I'm distraught that you said purple.
I'm sorry. There is purple M&Ms, just so you know.
They are special. I'm talking about just traditional out of the original pack of
Oh,
M&Ms.
original pack of M&Ms? Oh, I'd have to say the brown one then.
Yes, brown. Do I give you that point?
Yes.
Tyler, you want to weigh
I
in on
argue
that?
no. I argue no. Nick does not need any help.
Okay, so yep, I'm gonna go ahead and axe that point since you said purple in the beginning. Uh, that's
It's
kind of.
fine. Haters gonna hate. It's
You're
fine.
right. You're so right. Okay, Nick. Second question: what is the common name for dried plums?
Prunes.
Prunes. Good job. Let's see here. Next one. Which is the only edible food that will never go bad?
See, is it processed or is it natural?
Natural.
Hmm. Only one that'll never go bad. Is it? Is it sugar?
It's not sugar. It's honey.
Okay, it's close enough.
Yeah. Okay, so you got the first one wrong because you said purple. Second one, you got it right. Third one, you got it wrong. So we got two more questions.
Yeah.
Let's see here. Which country invented ice cream?
Which country invented ice cream? See, I want to say it was America, but that's probably not right. I'm just gonna take a shot in the dark and say Sweden.
No. This country also created COVID-19, so
Oh,
also known
China,
as
really?
China. Yeah.
Wow, did not know that.
Yes, sir.
That's a hot take.
And last question here for you. What is the most consumed manufactured drink in the world?
Coca-Cola?
No,
Damn,
it's tea.
damn.
All right.
I got 1 point. I feel so fucking retarded.
I'm surprised it wasn't Coke.
Tyler, you ready?
I'm so ready. I've never been more ready in my entire life.
Perfect. Which country consumes the most chocolate per capita?
Oh no, I'm gonna go with the United States.
You're wrong. Switzerland.
Ah,
Chocolatiers.
Switzerland. That's Swiss chocolate. Yeah, that good.
That good. What was the first soft drink in space?
In space, Sprite.
You're so wrong. It was Coke.
Of course, it was Coke.
He's literally giving all the answers. Like, I would have gotten all these answers right because I guessed his guesses.
I know. From which country does Gouda cheese originate?
Gouda. I'm gonna go France. They
No,
do all the cheese.
the Netherlands. It's Gouda.
Netherlands. I don't. 0-3.
Okay. Let's see here. Next one for you is what is the name given to Indian food cooked over charcoal in a clay oven?
Is it curry?
Nope.
That's the only Indian food I know.
Oh my goodness. It's tandoori.
Tandoori. I've never heard those words. Those letters have never been put together before.
Yeah, that's because
Before
that
right
word's
now.
fake, probably.
You made it up.
Yep. All right, last question for you. Hendrix, Larios, and Seagrams are some of the best-selling brands of which spirit?
Spirit.
So spirit
Which
is liquor.
okay. Give
It's
me the names
distilled.
again.
Okay. Hendrix, Larios, and Seagrams. So Seagrams. So
The only one I've heard is Seagram's, and I don't know what it is. Is it
it's clear.
a rum? It's clear. It is. It's clear. Then I'm gonna go with a. I'm vodka.
No, it's gin.
Gin. Jesus. Yep. Undisputed. Listen. I want to defend myself and say it's because I'm a creative. Look at my questions compared to your questions. I can't do factual knowledge. So
I
You're
win.
not really creative either. I gave you a perfect death plot, and you just stomped on it and turned me away. And you're supposed to be my best friend? Okay.
This is out of
Okay.
spite. He picked questions he knew I wouldn't know.
So anyway, Nick once again is our now Victorian. I might believe that he is number one, but that's okay. I always have next week, right?
Well, hey,
He's
you
the
know what?
undisputed, undefeated champion of the world.
You, Joshua, are in a very close second place.
Yeah,
Tyler's never won shit, so
not one time. This poor guy doesn't even know where Mexico is.
It is slightly to the right of the United States,
You're right. It
but
is.
below it.
But below it.
Mhm.
All right, gentlemen. I think that's it for me.
That is it for us. As always, check out the socials. Check out the Facebook page for that illustration of the Chupacabra. Check out our TikTok for some clips of the most recent episodes. I think that's all we have in the way of socials, right?
Yes, sir.
Oh, the episodes are going up on YouTube now. If you prefer to view them in that way.
All right.
But I think that's all the news we have.
Sounds great.
Okay. You lovely people have a great night.
All right. Good night.
I'll bye now.